Oops. Hey everybody. Hey everybody. It is Jillian. So, I've heard the word Loosh energy used before, and Loosh energy is just negative energy. It's negative energy that is used to feed people who are in like a bloodlust type of, I don't know, who feed off of bloodlust. I mean, I guess, yeah, that's what it is. And so someone sent me a message and they used the word bloodlust, and I haven't really looked behind it. I mean, there is a connotation to it that seems rather like obvious, okay, lusting after blood, but that's not really the whole definition. It is the desire to maim or kill, and it's also feeding off of the negative energy. It's the reactions and even the non-reactions, the controlled and uncontrolled reactions. And so until we as humans heal everything, we're going to be emoting Loosh energy. I mean, you've seen me. Some of you have noticed that some of my transmissions are really calm, and others I get really triggered, especially when it has to do with recommending J juice, and especially when someone's having to deal with an issue. So I have, certain unresolved issues where I get triggered. And some of you are like, you feel like, ooh, and I understand that. But that's part of my healing process, is that when you do react to something, that's still unresolved issues. It's loose energy that needs to be released. Some of you want me to control my emotions. And some of you are trying to reinforce the good Jillian, the calm Jillian. But I'm telling you, until I resolve all of my unresolved issues about people, places, and things, and ideas, and whatever, emotions are going to come out. That's the loose energy that needs to be released. And so, but when someone controls their emotions, then they're enslaving their body, mind, and spirit. And this is where Michael Gifford made a very excellent point the other day when it comes to meditation, because it's all the same stuff. When you're trying to meditate, when you're trying to force your mind to do something, to stay still or do whatever, and it's not naturally gearing towards that, but you're trying to just force that non-action type of thing, then you're enslaving your body, mind, and spirit. And so when you try to control your emotions, control your body, control whatever, then you're in the action of enslaving. What would happen if somebody said something, did something, and you didn't react at all? And you weren't actively controlling it, and you weren't actively just releasing it. You just had no reaction. It just didn't affect you. That's what we're trying to go for on the J juice, but it's going to be a process. And so part of me, oh Lordy, until you conceptually understand why reacting to certain things out there isn't necessary, you're going to have a trigger around it, and it's going to be unresolved until you actually can. So let's say the anti-vax movement. Okay, let me bring that as an example. I stopped reacting to anti-vax and vax maybe a little less than a month ago, because I still had residual energy around it, because I was pointing out the mRNA and the RNA type of stuff, and so I needed to get that part of the vaccine movement out of my system. So I had to point out all the things, all the upsides of the vaccines and the downsides of the vaccines. And so some of you fed off of each side. Some of you fed off the pro side, some of you fed off the anti-vax side. Okay, fine. Whatever. But once I really understood that there are agonist antibodies that promote growth as well as antagonists. So there is that plug and play, the search and destroy, and the growth potential. And how it manifests is based upon the biochemistry of the body. Then I'm like, I can't really have an opinion around the vaccines. There's no reaction. I can't, and the thing is, I can't save anybody else. You know, it's going to be a hit or miss if someone takes or doesn't take it. No matter what, it's going to be hit or miss if they get exposed to the virus, if they take a therapeutic. So I really don't have an opinion around it anymore. And so then there is no reaction. There is no feeling like it's dangerous, and there's no feeling like it's a great thing. It's just what is. It just is, and people are going to take it or leave it. But the thing is, people don't know both sides of the story, so that's why I'm writing a book. So that way I don't have to keep going over each side of the equation. Well, you have the upside and you have the downside, and then having to relive that bullshit over and over again, and people gravitating toward one side or the other, which then takes me down, another path that I really don't want to go through. And so now that I've resolved my anti-vax, pro-vax issue, because I understand conceptually, and I got rid of the Loosh energy, there's no need for me to control my emotions or have uncontrollable emotions. But you see those that are aging and degrading and are not reacting, it's attacking their systems. So your emotions, when you control them and you want to act like you have no problem with anything, and that you're a controlled human being, but you're actively aging and degrading, those emotions that you're not releasing are actually destroying you. So that's another way of looking at emotions and Loosh energy, is that some people will stuff that negative energy in their body, not release it, want to act like they're a controlled human being, an emotionally controlled human being, but actually it's actively destroying them. Because I see it. I see professionals that were trained to control their emotions, not release the Loosh energy out of their body. And then, they do great in their job for a certain amount of time. And then at some point you see the aging process set in and then accelerate, because they were never taught to release the emotions in a proper way, but still release them. And if they do release them, it's very intermittent, and then they stop it. They anesthetize them. They take their drugs and their pills and their powders and supplements, or they take out the energy source, of which then it then further deteriorates their body. And so you guys have seen me go through calmness. You see me freaking get triggered, where I'm just like this mean person that you may think I'm, but that's me releasing that Loosh energy. And then here's the thing. Sacrifice. Somebody think that might be sacrificing people in a way because of my Loosh energy when I'm releasing the excess. That's why I tell you guys, don't private message me unless it's a testimony, and try not to ask questions, and don't mischaracterize J-Juice. So when you contact someone, you have no idea what state they're in. And I know people say, well, I shouldn't have to tiptoe around you. No, you shouldn't. But if I put very distinct boundaries during my healing process, there's no way you're going to really know how I'm going to react. It's based upon what's going on at the time. And if I still have unresolved issues, you could be the target. Not that I mean to target you, but you could be triggering something. And that means for everybody else too. Okay, we must be very careful how we communicate with each other, because we don't know the state of what we're in. And so that's why I try to really watch how I communicate with those on other Facebooks, as well as my friends and family. And that's why I keep everything to my Facebook, because if I keep it to my Facebook, then they are choosing to then look at my stuff and react. And they have the choice to unfollow me and all that. But I want you to understand that controlling your emotions is also suppressing your evolution. When you actually have no beef with a person, place, or thing, or an idea, you have gone to another level of healing and resolution, to where it's like literally water off a duck's back. It's not the concept of water off a duck's back. It's literally water off a duck's back, rolling off a duck's back. And so some people want to feel that they exemplify that, but they're aging and degrading. Because you can control your emotions and you're aging and degrading doesn't mean you're controlling them. Really, you're just stuffing them, and it's destroying you. So when you see me react, you know it's an unresolved issue around that thing. And at some point, I'm going to train my Jelly Juice crowd and my audience, my Jelly Juice crowd that knows me well enough, that's been around at least since 2016, of course, right? To just do the J Juice. There's no reason to sell it to anyone that's dealing with a cancer disease and chronic illness, because eventually, if you exemplify it, they'll do it. And sometimes it might be too late for some people. Hi, sugar. I know. We'll go outside in a minute. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I hear you. But I want you to understand about Loosh energy. Okay? It's not something that you can control. It's something that, yes, you need to control so it doesn't come out in a very horrific form. But it needs to be, you need to have a proper outlet. And sometimes it's okay to just yell, scream, and whatever. And if you are being triggered by people, places, and things, and when someone contacts you or whatever, and you get triggered by them, you have to put down the boundaries and say, people, don't trigger me right now. And that's why I have very specific boundaries. Do not private message me unless it's a testimony. Okay? Because if it's a question about the Jelly Juice in some way, shape, or form, I'm going to tell you, get the book. And that Jelly Juice is not dangerous. It's just food. And you have to do waterfalls. And you have to, drink water and deal with your issues. And you will figure out how to get off your drugs, whatever they are. And that will be a transition. Your drugs, alcohol, or sex, and all that stuff. Okay? But yeah, Loosh energy. Loosh energy is energy that needs to be released. It cannot be controlled and stuffed. And you can't force the control of your Loosh energy. You've got to release it somehow. And so if you need to get on Facebook, if you need to go into a room, if you need to just snap at someone because they triggered you, because they crossed a boundary, especially when you've set boundaries, they have, they risked contacting you. They risked it. Will they contact you again? Probably not if they haven't really healed and sealed. But that's okay. Until you can get a testimony out of them, if that is one of your parameters on contacting you, then that's fine. You don't need to hear from them until they have some kind of benefit that they can share with the world, because it means that they actually see in value and they're going to be an example of which then will make it easier for them to bring it to their friends and family, because they are actually exhibiting some kind of benefit that they recognize enough to share with me and be okay with sharing with me after I've snapped their head off. But that's what I'm saying. It's a risk whenever you contact anyone through private messenger that you really don't know. Okay? You're risking whatever. So be very careful in your communication until you know the other person's 100% healed. And even then, I'm just going to say, read the book. Jelly Juice is not a cure. But will I be resolved around if someone asks me again down the road? Potentially. Am I going to answer them? I'll probably just ignore them. If someone says, hey, Jelly Juice, is Jelly Juice a cure? I'm just going to be like, go get the book. It's not a cure. That's it. Done. And move on from there. And so, that's why I don't do the back and forth on private messenger, because inevitably someone's going to cross a boundary, and I don't want that to happen. And so there is a way of controlling what someone else is doing to you, even though they're not doing anything to you. But that's the boundaries you put down, okay? Is that you don't allow someone to harm you unintentionally. Okay, but yes, so that's the thing about Loosh energy and controlling your emotions. And the bloodlust. Bloodlust, yeah, is about reacting to all the Loosh energy and people gravitating towards that. But then there's this balance. You can have the Care Bears on one hand and watch Little House on the Prairie, and then you can watch your most evilest horror movie, that is just like, wow, that kind of just grabs you and you like the storyline and it's really, really graphic. And you can have that balance of both. But when you gravitate to most of the horror movies and don't want to watch something like the Care Bears or something, which I think is a little bit too much, too sticky sweet. But I do find like comedies and whatever. But that's the balance, is when you can balance out both the light and the dark side of your body, mind, and spirit. And so to where then you're not reacting. Bloodlust and Loosh energy are conjoined and they work together. Okay? So, and you're seeing that right now with all the activists. You're seeing that right now with actions that happen with the police, and then people are reacting. It's bloodlust and Loosh energy all over the place. And you're watching it right now. It's like you're seeing evidence of bloodlust and Loosh energy working together. That's the dark side of our world. The light side of our world is life. And you balance out the both energies. All right, bye.